OMG. Your soulmate cut someone off after finding out this about you. My beloved child. Don't skip, because what your soulmate discovered was never supposed to reach them. It was hidden behind ordinary conversations, quiet smiles, and people pretending everything was fine. Yet one unexpected moment changed everything. A single truth about you slipped through the cracks, and the instant your soulmate heard it, something inside them refused to stay silent. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you, and the final piece of this story explains why one relationship in their life ended without warning. They didn't walk away because of anger. They didn't leave because of pride. They left because they finally realized someone had been standing between them and the truth about you. At first, they couldn't believe what they were hearing. Every memory they had been given suddenly felt incomplete. Every opinion they had accepted from someone else started falling apart. They replayed old conversations in their mind, noticing details they had ignored for far too long. That was the moment they understood they had never truly been told who you were. Instead, they had been shown a version designed to keep them confused. The realization didn't arrive all at once. It came in waves, each one stronger than the last, until there was no way to escape it. What happened next surprised even them. They stopped defending the people they once trusted without question. They stopped making excuses for strange behavior that had never made sense. Every missing piece suddenly fit together like a puzzle that had been waiting years to be completed. Don't skip, because this is where everything changes. Your soulmate remembered a conversation they had almost forgotten, a casual remark someone made about you that seemed harmless at the time. Now it sounded completely different. They remembered the unnecessary warnings, the strange hesitation whenever your name appeared, and the quiet attempts to redirect every conversation away from you. None of it had felt important before. But now, after learning the truth, those tiny moments became impossible to ignore. Their heartbeat grew heavier with every memory. The person they had trusted most wasn't protecting them, they were protecting a lie. And once your soulmate realized that, something inside them broke forever. They understood that every delay, every misunderstanding, every missed opportunity between the two of you had not happened by accident. Someone had quietly benefited every time the distance between you grew larger. That thought filled them with disappointment unlike anything they had ever experienced. Instead of blaming you, they began questioning everyone else. Instead of doubting your intentions, they started doubting the voices they had listened to for so long. The truth did not push them away from you. It pulled them closer than they had ever imagined possible. Then came the decision nobody expected. Without announcing it, without creating drama, and without looking back, your soulmate quietly removed one person from the center of their life. No long explanation. No argument. Just silence where trust used to exist. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. The person who once had unlimited access to their thoughts suddenly found every door closed. Your soulmate knew that if they allowed another lie to grow, they might lose something far more valuable than a friendship. They might lose the chance to understand the person who had unknowingly occupied their heart all this time. As they walked away from that connection, they didn't feel lighter immediately. They felt uncertain. But deep inside, there was a strange sense of peace they had never felt before, as though they had finally stepped onto the right path after wandering in the wrong direction for far too long. And just when they believed the hardest choice had already been made, another unexpected truth began revealing itself, a truth about you that would make them question everything they thought they knew and leave them standing completely speechless before the next chapter even begins. The silence that followed was louder than any argument your soulmate had ever experienced. The person they had cut off kept expecting a message, a second chance, or at least one explanation. None of it came. Your soulmate had already made the decision in their heart, and for the first time in a very long time, they refused to let anyone rewrite what they had finally discovered. Don't skip, because the next few moments changed everything they believed about you. As they sat alone replaying every memory, they noticed something they had completely missed before. Every time they had been encouraged to doubt you, there had always been someone standing nearby, quietly influencing the situation. Every misunderstanding suddenly had the same shadow behind it. Every confusing moment carried the same invisible fingerprint. It was no longer coincidence. It was a pattern. The more they uncovered, the more impossible it became to ignore. They realized that while they had been searching for answers about you, someone else had been carefully deciding which answers they were allowed to hear. That realization filled them with regret. They wondered how many moments could have been different if they had trusted their own instincts instead of someone else's opinions. Something huge is waiting for you, because what they uncovered next wasn't another rumor, it was undeniable proof. A forgotten message, an old conversation, and one unexpected detail connected together so perfectly that every remaining doubt disappeared. At that moment, your soulmate whispered to themselves that they had been unfair to someone who had never stopped being genuine. What happened after that was something nobody around them expected. Instead of running away from the truth, your soulmate started moving toward it. They became unusually quiet, not because they were afraid, but because they were thinking more deeply than ever before. Every ordinary moment reminded them of you. A familiar place. A certain song. A random sentence from a stranger. Somehow everything pointed back to the same person. They could no longer pretend your presence in their life was ordinary. Don't skip, because this is where their heart completely changed direction. They stopped asking, "What if I was right?" and began asking, "What if I was wrong all along?" That single question refused to leave their mind. They even noticed that the peace they had been searching for never appeared until they walked away from the people who constantly filled their mind with doubt. Now the silence felt different. It no longer felt empty. It felt honest. Inside that honesty, your name kept returning again and again, not as a memory they wanted to escape, but as someone they finally wanted to understand. For the first time, they imagined what life might have looked like if nobody had interfered. That thought stayed with them longer than they expected, growing stronger every hour until ignoring it became impossible. Then, just when they believed the biggest discovery had already happened, another unexpected moment arrived. Someone who knew pieces of the hidden story accidentally revealed one final detail, and your soulmate froze the instant they heard it. It explained why certain people had always acted uncomfortable whenever your name came up. It explained why the truth had been delayed for so long. Most importantly, it confirmed that walking away from the wrong person had been the best decision they could have made. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. Your soulmate realized they were standing at the edge of a completely different future, one where fear no longer controlled their choices. They weren't thinking about revenge. They weren't interested in proving anyone wrong. They wanted only one thing, to discover who you really were without anyone else's voice standing in the middle. But just as they prepared to take that first step, something completely unexpected happened. Someone from the past appeared with information that could either bring the two of you closer than ever before, or reveal one secret that neither of you saw coming. The unexpected visitor did not arrive with anger or accusations. They arrived carrying a burden they had been hiding for far too long. Your soulmate almost ignored them, believing there was nothing left worth hearing, but something deep inside urged them to stay. Don't skip, because what they heard next completely reshaped the story. The visitor quietly admitted that people had been speaking about you behind your back for much longer than anyone realized. Some stories had been exaggerated. Others had been twisted until they barely resembled the truth. A few had been created from nothing at all. Your soulmate felt their hearts sink with every sentence. They remembered moments when they had hesitated to trust you, and now they understood why. Those doubts had never truly belonged to them. They had been planted one small thought at a time until confusion felt normal. The visitor lowered their voice and revealed something even more surprising. They had watched someone deliberately keep your paths from crossing at the right moments. Every time fate seemed ready to bring you together, another distraction appeared. Every opportunity somehow disappeared before it could become real. Your soulmate could hardly believe that so many small events had been connected all along. Something huge is waiting for you, because this confession wasn't the ending of the mystery, it was only the door leading to an even greater revelation. Your soulmate walked away from that conversation feeling as though the world had suddenly become unfamiliar. Places they had visited countless times now reminded them of chances they never took. Faces they once trusted now carried unanswered questions. Yet through all the uncertainty, one feeling remained stronger than anything else, you. They stopped wondering whether you were important and started wondering why they had allowed anyone else to define your value. Don't skip, because this was the exact moment their heart stopped fighting what it had quietly known all along. They found themselves remembering tiny details about you that nobody else ever noticed. A simple expression. A kind gesture. A conversation that seemed ordinary at the time but now carried completely different meaning. Those memories refused to fade. Instead, they grew brighter with every passing hour. It almost felt as if their heart had been collecting pieces of you in silence, waiting for the day when everything would finally make sense. The more they reflected, the more they realized that your presence had always brought them an unusual sense of peace, even during times when they tried to convince themselves otherwise. They no longer wanted borrowed opinions or second-hand stories. They wanted the truth directly from the only person who had lived it, you. Then came the moment that changed everything once again. Late that evening, your soulmate found something they had never expected to see. Hidden among old messages and forgotten memories was one small detail that everyone else had overlooked. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't loud. But it proved beyond any doubt that your intentions had been completely different from what they had been told. Your soulmate stared at it for a long time, unable to look away. Their heartbeat quickened as every missing piece finally locked into place. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. They realized they had spent too much time chasing answers in the wrong direction while the real truth had been quietly waiting all along. In that very moment, they made another silent decision, this time not about leaving someone behind, but about moving toward the person they could no longer ignore. Yet just as they prepared to take that first courageous step, their phones suddenly lit up with an unexpected message from someone connected to your past, and the first sentence they read made them freeze completely, because it threatened to reveal a secret capable of changing both of your lives forever. The message appeared without warning, carrying only a few simple words, yet your soulmate felt an immediate sense that nothing would ever be the same after reading it. Their hands hesitated before opening it, almost as if their heart already knew the truth inside would be impossible to forget. Don't skip, because this is where everything begins to shift in a way nobody could have predicted. The message wasn't filled with accusations or dramatic claims. Instead, it contained quiet honesty from someone who had watched the entire situation unfold from the sidelines. They admitted they had remained silent for far too long, but they could no longer ignore what had happened to you. They explained that every time your soulmate came closer to understanding your real character, someone else stepped in to redirect their attention. Every misunderstanding had been encouraged. Every doubt had been carefully fed until it became believable. Reading those words felt like watching years of confusion disappear one sentence at a time. Your soulmate closed their eyes and realized they had been living inside someone else's version of the story instead of discovering the truth for themselves. Something huge is waiting for you, because the final line of that message carried a warning they never expected. If you truly want to know who they are, stop listening to everyone else before it's too late. Those words echoed in their mind long after the screen went dark, refusing to let them return to the person they had been only hours earlier. As the night grew quieter, your soulmate stopped searching for answers outside themselves and finally listened to their own heart. Every memory involving you became brighter than before. They remembered moments that once seemed ordinary but now felt deeply meaningful. They remembered the kindness that had gone unnoticed, the patience that had been misunderstood, and the quiet strength you showed even when nobody acknowledged it. Don't skip, because this realization became impossible to escape. They finally understood that the strongest people are often the ones whose stories are never fully told. The image they had been given of you began falling apart, replaced by something far more genuine and far more beautiful. Instead of feeling regret alone, they felt determination. They promised themselves they would never again allow fear, rumors, or outside opinions to decide who deserved a place in their life. The people who had tried to separate your paths no longer held that power. For the first time, your soulmate felt completely free to choose with their own heart instead of borrowed judgment. That freedom brought an unexpected sense of peace, but it also created one difficult question they could no longer avoid. If everything they had believed about you was wrong, what else had they completely misunderstood? Before sunrise, one final discovery left them completely speechless. While looking through old memories one last time, they noticed a tiny detail they had ignored countless times before. It connected every conversation, every coincidence, and every unexplained feeling they had experienced whenever your name entered their life. It wasn't luck. It wasn't imagination. It was the missing piece that had been hiding in plain sight from the very beginning. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. At that exact moment, your soulmate made a promise they refused to break. They would stop chasing comfortable lies and start searching for uncomfortable truths, no matter where those truths led them. The person they had cut off was now nothing more than a closed chapter, but your chapter was only beginning to open. With a heart no longer clouded by doubt, they prepared to take the boldest step they had ever considered. Yet just as they reached that decision, another unexpected sign appeared. One that suggested your paths might cross much sooner than either of you could ever imagine, and when that moment finally arrives, neither of your lives will ever return to the way they once were. The following morning felt different before your soulmate even opened their eyes. It was as if the weight they had been carrying for so long had finally begun to disappear. The doubts that once controlled every decision no longer had the same power. Instead, an unusual sense of certainty quietly took their place. Don't skip, because what happened next convinced them that walking away from the wrong people had been the greatest decision they had ever made. Throughout the day, unexpected reminders of you kept appearing in the most ordinary places. Your name surfaced in a conversation they weren't expecting. A familiar location brought back a memory they thought they had forgotten. Even the smallest details seemed to point in the same direction. At first, they tried to ignore it, telling themselves it was only coincidence. But the signs kept coming, each one stronger than the last. They realized they were no longer searching for excuses to stay away from you. Instead, they were searching for the courage to finally move closer. Something huge is waiting for you, because the walls around their heart were no longer protecting them. They were preventing them from reaching the person they could no longer stop thinking about. Every hour that passed made one truth clearer: the story they had been living was ending, and another one was quietly preparing to begin. As that realization settled in, your soulmate started seeing themselves differently as well. They admitted they had made mistakes by trusting voices that never deserved their confidence. But instead of allowing guilt to trap them, they decided to let it transform them. Don't skip, because this decision changed everything. They stopped looking backward with regret and started looking forward with hope. For the first time, they imagined speaking to you without fear, without hesitation, and without anyone standing between the two of you. They wondered how many conversations had been delayed by misunderstandings that never should have existed. They wondered how many smiles had been missed because someone else had chosen confusion over honesty. Those thoughts stayed with them all day, growing stronger until they became impossible to silence. Deep inside, they knew there was no returning to the old version of themselves. The person who blindly believed every opinion had disappeared. In their place stood someone determined to discover the truth with their own eyes, their own heart, and their own choices. The connection they once questioned had now become the one thing they refused to ignore. Then, just as evening arrived, everything took one final unexpected turn. Your soulmate received a piece of information that nobody had planned for them to see. It wasn't loud or dramatic, but it confirmed something they had secretly been hoping was true all along. Every sacrifice you had made, every moment you stayed genuine despite being misunderstood, suddenly became visible in a way they could no longer deny. They sat in complete silence, realizing they had underestimated the strength hidden inside you from the very beginning. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. With their heart finally free from the influence of those who had misled them, they made one quiet promise to themselves: they would no longer allow fear, distance, or old misunderstandings to decide what happened next. They were ready to take the first real step toward the truth. But just before they acted, an unexpected event unfolded that neither of you could have predicted, a moment so surprising that